Welcome you inside the queue, down here on the floor, all of us wearing pants as well, not as colorful as LeBron's. Chuck's about to go shopping.
Hey, I never thought I'd say I really wanted those shorts again after looking at those things.
Go ahead, take a look.
What the hell is that? This guy's he's the greatest basketball player in the world, but that's just awful.
Not in your wardrobe?
That's not in my wardrobe.
Meanwhile, Chuck was complaining before set for about 10 minutes about you fitting okay on the chair now because you were a little bit upset.
I'm good.
All right. Got G. Hill, C. Webb, Charles. Here we go. Coming home, 0-2. Got to put that behind you. How about the Cavs coming in here to Game 3, G?
Well, this is a must game for them, must win. And they had an opportunity in Game 1. They let it slip away. The Warriors came back. They weren't complacent, took care of business Game 2. It's going to be loud in here, a lot of noise, a lot of momentum. They're going to have to feed off the energy here in this building. They have to win this game because if they lose this game, it's over and the Warriors will sweep.
You know, see, Webb, one of the good things is everybody shoots better. We talk about the others, but the stars of the Cavaliers, including LeBron, all play better in this building.
Yeah, like Grant said, they're going to have to play off the energy of this crowd. They also play better defense here. They also play tougher with more passion here, and they're going to have to use that tonight because if not, again, we're going to probably say this a million times tonight. If they don't win tonight, the series is over. So I expect, the others to play better. LeBron always plays great, but they're going to have to do it on the defensive end and with their energy here in this building.
Let me say something. Watching the first couple of games from home, the officiating has been awful. The officiating has been awful the first 2 games. That's not the reason the Cavs are down 0-2, but you have to say the officials has been awful. And that one call was an awful call, this block charge. They made a huge mistake. They know they made a huge mistake because you can't review block charges. And they went to review whether he was in a restricted area and took a whole nother call that didn't even matter. So that was a bad call, but the officiating overall has been awful. But tonight, this is clearly a must-win for the Cavs. They got to get some help from everywhere. I mean, we know LeBron's going to do his thing. We knew Kevin Love's going to do his thing. But those other guys, man, they got to stop acting like the light's too bright. Hopefully the home crowd can pull them through. This is a big game for the NBA, not just for the Cavs, because this is last year was the first time teams had met 3 years in a row in the finals. Now this is the 4th year. If they sweep the Cavs, it won't be good for the NBA. It's just a bad look. So I really want to see a competitive series. I'm pulling for the Cavs tonight.
Joe Borgia, by the way, from the league, Charles will be escorted offset. Got it. But during this segment.
What? If I said something bad about the officials, y'all going to throw me off?
But Chuck, I don't think it was a bad call. I think they followed the rule. I think it's a bad rule.
Yes.
But the rule says on a block charge in the last 2 minutes, you can actually go, it's a trigger, and you can go and review, and then you can make the right call in that situation. I don't like the rule, but I do think in this case the officials did the right thing.
You think that was a block?
Yeah, I think it was a block.
See, a lot of people don't know you can actually be moving on a charge.
Chuck, you ever taken a charge?
Oh, yeah. I got hurt.
No, not
Sean Bradley ran over me.
Charge.
Yeah, Sean Bradley. It must have been my mistake. The muscle up, Sean Bradley.
Yeah, he caught me in the right spot, man. But I actually thought that was a charge.
Okay, all right.
But we can discuss. Both officials had it right and wrong. And I think I always try to defend the officials because I think they get a bad rap because of instant replay. Everybody gets the call right in instant replay. But they've had a tough series. They made some awful calls so far, and we got to call them out on that.
One of the big questions coming into Game 3, the health of Andre Iguodala, with more on that and the Warriors side of the story. Here's Jared Greenberg. Jared?
All right, Casey, well, nothing is official just yet. All signs pointing to Andre Iguodala making his return to the Warriors lineup tonight. Iguodala hasn't played in the last 17 days due to a bone bruise in his knee. He did get on the court and practice with his team for the first time yesterday, and the team is expected to really watch closely his pregame shooting session, which is scheduled for 7:45 Eastern tonight. Now, keeping up with his season-long tradition, we don't expect Steve Kerr to announce any changes to his starting lineup, which may or may not include Andre Iguodala this evening. He prefers to wait till the very last moment to announce who he's going to start in these games. Now, also, I've been told that we shouldn't expect to hear about any sort of minutes restriction to Andre Iguodala. Coach Kerr prefers to monitor the player with his own eyes. If he's playing well, keep him out there, and also keep in close communication with the training staff to see how Iguodala's knee is holding up. That's the story with the Warriors. Let's get more on the Cavaliers with David Aldridge.
Jared, thanks very much. Now, even though the Cavaliers are down 2-0 in this series, they still have a belief that's born from their success in 2016 against these Warriors in the finals that they can get back into the 2018 finals. They feel like they can compete with this team, and they will especially be better at home where they think things will change. Among the changes you'll see in their rotation tonight is probably more Rodney Hood. They believe that the forward, who hasn't played very much the first two games, can get different and better shots with his size than some of their other players. Now, we all know the cliche that teams tend to play better at home and on the road, and it is true, but we almost always limit it to the role players. So while Kyle Korver does shoot more than 20 points better at home, both on threes and on field goals, LeBron James plays better at home too. He leads the NBA in scoring among players at home at more than 38 points per game, and he's shooting almost 41% on threes here at Quicken Loans Arena. Back to you, Case.
All right, DA, thank you. Look at the numbers. The Cavaliers, statistically through two games, finals franchise history, they've been down this road before. How about each of the last three seasons? Now, LeBron, he's used to it. He has rallied back in the past down 0-2 to win a playoff series 3 times in his career. Beginning in 2007, the first time that it happened, when the Cavs were able to come back to defeat the Pistons 4-2 in the Eastern Conference Finals. We've got LeBron heading into Game 3 on his confidence level at this point.
I know it feels like we're down 2-0, and I don't like the way I feel. I don't like the way, the mood that I'm in right now. Knowing whatever, there's no you're down 2-0 and you feel better than you're down 2-0 before. It's just, when you're down like this in a deficit like this versus a team like this, there's no good feeling. So, I don't feel good about it.
Jermaine, and the last question on the left.
With that moment between regulation and overtime, like Chris said, it has gone viral.
Give me 1 second. Sorry. I don't feel good how I feel right now. Not how I feel about the rest of the series. I know how clips can get broken up and somebody can clip that and be like, oh, LeBron said he doesn't feel good about this. I personally don't feel good today of the deficit that we have. Not about tomorrow. I feel great about our opportunity. Go ahead.
All right, so some clarification from LeBron. Got 3 stars on my set. You know what it's like for the teammates to look at you and say, okay, let's jump on your back. G. Hill, LeBron, Game 1, aggressive, 51. Game 2, aggressive to try and get teammates involved. They miss a lot of open shots. What LeBron do we get in Game 3?
Well, it's amazing that he can beat you a number of different ways, but I think at home he will come out and be aggressive, looking to score. The great thing about LeBron, he can read the situation. I think he can kind of do both, but I think he's going to come out, be aggressive, try to set the tone. The guys will feed off of him, try to get some confidence off of his leadership. But he's got to come out, set the tone early.
How tough is it, Webb, to trust your teammates? You know you need them to win. They missed a ton of open three-pointers, uncontested in Game 2.
Yeah, sometimes it's tough, but, LeBron, he's shown that he's trusted his teammates all year long, and, he plays with the balance. So even when he's going for 51, he had 8 assists there, so he still was even trusting his teammates then. But we heard David Aldridge say he shoots better at home, so I expect him to be aggressive early because this is the only shot they have, and then to kind of trust the players as he goes on, maybe gets tired, and then kind of rest and get back in the game.
I was very disappointed in the Cavs after Game 1 leading into Game 2. I thought they didn't come to JR's defense. JR know he screwed up. We all know he screwed up. But the body language on the bench, the stuff I'm reading in the newspaper and watching on television, I was very disappointed that, number 1, LeBron, number 2, Ty Lue, and some other guys on the team. Like JR said, the only guy that talked to me was Kyle Korver. Listen, when you're the leader or you're the coach, nobody tries to miss a shot. Nobody tries to do anything stupid. But you got to realize you're in a 7-game series. There was definitely a hangover in Game 2. But I've always, when some guys on my team play bad, there's some guys you have to kick in the ass. That's true. But like a guy like JR needs constant love. He's an emotional player. He's a good player. But I just didn't like the body language and the vocal language that I saw from the Cavs going into Game 2, and that's when they got beat down. You got to pick guys up, man. Dude, they lost one game. They played a hell of a game. They made a mental mistake. George Hill get off the hook for missing that free throw. But everybody wants to blame the JR fiasco. But, man, I was just disappointed. I didn't see those guys like, come on, man, we got JR's back. JR made a mistake in game one. We're moving past that. We're going to be pissed off after game one. We're going to think about it probably the next day, but that's over after that. I didn't see any of that coming from the Cavs.
You know, I don't know, Chuck, if leaving him on an island had anything to do with it, but 2 out of 9, 5 points from JR. Didn't play well in game 2. Look at the three-point percentages and what we've seen so far from the Cleveland Cavaliers and their shooting in the postseason. It's a huge part, Chris, of why they win when they win. Is it maybe the biggest factor for game 3 that their guys, the others at home, hit some of those shots they missed in game 2?
Well, the reason why it's so important that they hit them is because they have the best penetrator and facilitator in the game in LeBron, and he attacks and attracts 2 to 3 defenders when he goes in. So you're going to get wide open looks. And, yeah, you got to knock those down. But as Chuck says, nobody's coming out here trying to miss those. I think for guys, too, when you're missing those shots, pump fake, take it to the hole, try to score in other ways. But LeBron's going to trust you. He's going to find you. And hopefully, if you're a Cavs fan, they're going to use that energy to be positive tonight.
Hold on. Let me say one thing. Going back to the Boston Celtics.
What do you want, a washcloth?
No, because Casey, I got to say something.
Go ahead.
You show these three-point percentages.
Yes.
And when they make threes, they win.
Yep.
Of course, all damn teams make them when they go in. But you go back to Game 7 against Boston. Boston goes 7 for 47. They keep shooting. Then you got those fools down in Rockets go 0 for 24. Dude, you don't have to shoot threes. There's not one of the 10 commandments say, we got to shoot threes. Put your damn head down and go to the basket. This notion, listen, and I ain't one of these old guys trying to hang on to my pads and play the game the other way. It's all right to take a layup every now and then.
But, Chuck, the way that teams play with LeBron James, you can go to Miami, the blueprint in Miami, the blueprint here, although you don't have a Kyrie or another guy that can go get a shot, you space the floor with shooters, and you give him room to operate.
Yes.
And he plays the same way now as he did in Miami. He doesn't have that other guy, though, that he can take a possession off and go make a play. So as a result, the way they play, you got to knock down three-point shot. I agree with you.
They could play faster and get some layups before. They could post Kevin Love up more in the post. Listen, Jordan Clarkson, they ruined his game. They got him thinking he got to stand out there and shoot threes. Now he got zero confidence. Same thing with Jeff Green. They got him standing there. Jeff Green's a hell of a player. But this notion where you got all these players who have become like, I'm just going to stand on the perimeter. Listen, it's great if those threes are going in, but these guys sometimes they got to just put their head down and go. But the one thing these teams do that's stupid, Looney can shoot it anytime he gets it. Bale can shoot it anytime he gets it. Even Draymond. You never see help on any of those plays. I'm not going to let Clay, Steph, or Kevin beat me going one-on-one, doing their thing. I'm going to cheat off Looney. I'm going to cheat off David West. If Draymond beat me, I'm just going to shake his hand. Or Bale. But on those plays, you're like, where's my help at? Those are all wide-open shots. And nobody, Jeff Van Gundy, who does a fantastic job, always talks, these guys, you got to cheat off those non-shooters. Bale don't want to shoot the ball. Looney don't want to shoot the ball. Why are they crowding those guys, sticking to them?
You know, Chuck, you make a great point. You know, what was happening, they were switching. And now a big is matched up with him, and they're not used to guarding him.
Yes.
And he's moving without the basketball. Yeah. Great awareness from the rest of the guys. But, you know, a couple years ago, I thought in 2015 when Golden State won, Cleveland had a different strategy. They doubled him, screen and roll, they trapped.
Physical.
And they're making somebody else beat them, to your point.
Yes.
And so I agree. Yeah. Look, now you switch, now you got a mismatch, and he's so good with the ball, and he's great at relocating after the pass. Most big guys are used to relaxing in that situation, and they exposed him last game.
There's no big guy can guard a guard.
Right.
You know, Kenny always talks about it. First of all, I hate giving him a credit and get a compliment. But he always talks about it. If you're a guard and you see a big guy, you're like, there's no way he can cover me. And for some reason, all these NBA teams now, they switch everything, and nobody ever takes the ball into the post. And when you got a big guy against a little guy, they just gonna leave a big guy on an island with a great guard like Steph.
If we see so many uses of the slip screen, for example, right? Why aren't we seeing adjustments to that? I know it's more of an in general question, Webb, but in this series, from the Cavaliers or from the Warriors, to force that you don't get a switch, because we're seeing those matchups constantly.
Well, I think Chuck said it. If you look at these teams, Golden State is the biggest culprit. Nobody makes them pay for it. They switch everything. You'll see Steph Curry on Towns. You'll see him on Clint Capella. But it all goes to, what are you going to make them do? I'd let Steph switch all the time. One to Charles Barkley, if Chuck isn't going to rebound, if he isn't going to post up, it's just a waste. But you have to go at him when they do this, and I think that's what these guys are saying. You have to make them pay for that play. If not, they're smart to keep on doing it until you do something.
The two teams, Chris got a great point. The two teams who switch everything are the Warriors and the Rockets. So, yeah, instead of throwing the ball down to Towns against a little guy or somebody else, the Rockets let Chris Paul do his thing and James Harden do their thing. When you play against the Warriors, they're the exact same thing. They're trying to switch, and they got a big guy out there, but you can still pound them. But a guard, especially as great as Steph is, Capella, who arguably the most athletic big in the league, cannot keep Steph Curry in front of him. Because he passed the ball and just runs around. Before you know it, he's like, oh, he's over there in that corner wide open.
Well, Chuck, to your point, first of all, Cleveland, they've been bad defensively all seasons. It's not a big surprise. But I think to what you're saying, because the Rockets had such success against the Warriors in switching, they tried to do that.
Yes.
I don't think that's really Cleveland's defense.
No.
Not that they're known for the defense. Because now you got guys who are guarding guards like Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson, and they don't have the mobility on the perimeter like a Capella.
And I'll give Daryl Morey credit in Houston because he went out and got Ariza, Tucker, Capella. Those are three of the best defenders in the league. They can actually switch, and they can't stop guards. Well, they can't stop Clay or Steph or somebody like that. But I'd probably say they can guard probably 60% of the mediocre guards in the league.
We saw Kevin Durant, who's always trying to improve, look at himself after, guys, game number 1 and say, I want to be more efficient. 10 out of 14 in game 2. What did you see in the difference, G, of KD's game in game 2?
Well, he has been inconsistent. He was inconsistent in that Rockets series. Really good, and at times would disappear. I thought he was better. He still wasn't the Kevin Durant we saw last year in the finals, but he played better than he did in game 1, and he was more aggressive. He had a great game, don't get me wrong, but he was so good last year as the finals MVP. He was more efficient. He looked assertive. He looked a little unsure of himself at times in game 1, but he got back to being the Kevin Durant. And when Durant and Curry and Clay are all playing well, then you have a performance like you had there in game 2.
How do you guys explain the erratic play? We know he's one of the best players in the world, an all-timer. But the fourth quarters in the last series against Houston, not very good. First couple of games, one good, one not so good for KD.
I think last year he tried to fit in and play the system of Golden State. I think this year, when things got tough, he went back to playing the type of ball he knows. He's a DH. He's not the outfielder that's going to hit. He's the guy that comes in.
I love that you brought baseball references to me.
He's a guy, he just wants to shoot the ball and get it going. And that's the type of player you need to close it. What I was impressed with, he had 7 assists. When Kevin Durant's on the floor and he's scoring a lot, but he doesn't make anyone better with just the one pass out and then maybe a wasted play. When he's got other guys involved in back screens or just gets another shot for other guys, he can make it so much easier for a guy like Klay Thompson just setting the back screen. So I love that Kevin Durant, that's a killer, goes out and score, but I want to see him also get people involved when he's not being aggressive.
Well, Chris said he had 7 assists. Remember those games against the Rockets? He had 0 assists, 1 assist. Because I think personally he fell in love going one-on-one because he had such a physical advantage every time the Rockets switched. It was so easy to get him the ball and him to get a shot. I think he just became lackadaisical and not playing the way the Warriors, all their movement. I just thought it was just because the Rockets do their thing. And he just got lackadaisical. And you see now he played better. I think he's going to keep playing better because the Rockets, they play that unique defense. But I don't think the Cavs can play that defense because they don't have the personnel.
One more quickly on the Warriors. As players who were tough, how much would you have loved to play with Klay Thompson? Here's a guy who's supposedly supposed to have a bad ankle. Steph and Draymond saying they don't know how he played. He goes 8 out of 13 and is shooting the lights out.
He's shooting the lights out. What I love about Klay Thompson, here's a guy who's an all-star. He's been in the Olympics. He's a third option. He doesn't complain. The ball will come to him. He can get plenty of shots. Sometimes he doesn't get shots, but he goes about his business. He competes on the defensive end. He never complains about anything. He's always ready, always brings the performance. And so he's you got to love him. And they're lucky that you got a guy. I mean, they got great talent, but your third option is capable of carrying you. And he plays when they need. In those big moments, he steps up and makes plays. So Klay Thompson and his toughness, I thought his knee, I thought he was done. I thought he was done for the series. Yeah. But he came back in that game and played well and hasn't missed a beat.
I think it's amazing how to me, he's probably the most underrated player in the league. Because if you go back, Game 6 against Oklahoma City, he won that game. You go back to Game 6 against the Rockets, he won that game. And he's playing with those other two guys. If he was on another team, he'd be like, he's already the best two guard in the league. But we be talking about him like we talk about some of the other great players who are single, like a Giannis, guys like that who are great players. But he's kind of in the laying low because, like Grant said, he's the third option. Let me tell you something. He's the best damn third option in the NBA.
It's time now to ask the analysts. We were worried about what you might ask. In partnership with 47.
What is 47 anyway?
It's hats, Chuck.
It's what now?
It's hats, something you need.
Clothing and hats. Do we get hats and clothing?
Oh, they didn't send us.
How is it possible for Korver to get more involved in the series? Huge asset against the Raps' invisible bench thus far. How much of that do you see the Warriors doing a good job against him, or what does he need to do differently?
Well, Kyle Korver isn't a one-on-one scorer, so you're never going to see Kyle Korver get his own shot. He's a little bit like Klay Thompson in that way. If you see Klay dribbling too much, you're like, hold on, let us set you up. So he needs players. He needs coaches making calls for him, also guys screening for him, and also if they speed up the pace, you heard Chalk talk about that earlier and Grant talk about it. They speed up the pace. Klay and Steph never finish the break. They never start the break. They always run right to those corners and those wings. And if you get Draymond with the rebound, if you get some other guys pushing it out, you're gonna find Kyrie. And also, he has to keep moving just like how we saw Curry moving. And you'll see that with Kyle constantly moving like a Reggie Miller. But constant movement, play calling, guys getting him some screens and then looking for him.
Yeah, the biggest problem he got though is just a bad matchup. He can't guard any of those guys. It's just a bad matchup. He's going to pick and choose when he put him in the game because he can't guard Klay, he can't guard Steph, he can't guard Kevin. So there's just nowhere to hide him. I mean, if you put him on Draymond probably going to kill him on the offensive board. I mean, it's just a really bad matchup. It's just a unique situation. Like, we all been in games where, like, we can't match. It's just a bad matchup. And that's unfortunate for Kyle.
And they both said it best. Look, they switch Golden State. Yeah. Boston and Toronto didn't switch. He was great at moving without the ball, got open looks. He's not getting any open looks because of the defense and the matchup.
Yeah. We're just getting started. Game Time Live down here on the floor. Going to be an amazing atmosphere in this building. The Warrior fans are in attendance, but they'll be overwhelmed by cheers, not jeers, for JR, trying to lift him to a big performance in game number 3. A record-breaking performance from 3 doing his routine. Part of the Warriors' routine, the use of the slip screen. 3D and company break it down.
You saw it in game 2. A lot of opportunities for Golden State with guys just in motion, not ever making contact and getting themselves to the rim. So one of the things we want to talk about with Cleveland is actually defending a screen. Make sure that there is a screen. So let's go through some of those sets and how it is that Golden State got to those layups, especially early on in the first quarter.
So come up a little bit. So this is George Hill guarding Steph.
Yep.
And what we're trying to tell people is that now when Steph gives the ball up, George Hill, whoever it may be, guarding Steph Curry, has to stay into his body because if he's too loose, we know it's going to be a quick step back and shoot the 3.
Yep. So the play is this. The ball ends up going to Draymond Green. Dominic, you can come down here at the elbow, which is where Sean Livingston's setting this pick. As Steph Curry is coming down and working against George Hill, we've got Jeff Green extending out at this point, extending out and going to Steph Curry, which is allowing this slippage.
Slip right here.
Right? You saw that, Neek, with Sean Livingston making the read.
Exactly.
So the problem is there has to be a screen in order for there to be a switch.
Say it again.
There has to be a screen in order for there to be a switch.
Thank you.
And so if we run through it a second time, Draymond Green has the ball. George Hill's guarding Steph. I'm Jeff Green. I'm staying here at this point right here. there has to be contact with the screener. This signals the switch. It is imperative that George Hill now gets below the screen. If he does not get below the screen, this is what Sean is looking for. All right, now if he does get below the screen, I can be Jeff Green, and when this contact's made, I can make contact with Steph right away.
You see, you stay here.
We'll go
that
back
way
one
I
more
can't
time.
Get that slip there.
The problem is for George Hill is if I'm Jeff Green and I'm waiting for this, if George Hill comes too quickly to get below the screen, pop back, Steph's going to shoot a three. All right? So this is where the dilemma is. We're going to keep this angle here along the free throw line for you guys to watch this, because the problem is for this primary defender, you have to get below this screen. And in order to do that, you're going to have to at some point give up space and trust this defender.
And Brent, talk to people through how you two have to be on the same page, because obviously Steph Curry has the freedom to flare, go under, or set a screen for Livingston to come around.
I am the eyes in this point for George Hill as the backline defender, right, Nick? I'm talking to him to tell him what's coming.
Yeah, you got to communicate too. You know, as a back defender, you got to let that top guy here know who's guarding Steph Curry that the screen is possibly coming. So you got to be able to hear what your teammate is saying and kind of move lateral. You always say, see the man in your ball, and the ball, you have to do that. So when that screen coming, and you're talking about either switching or getting under, when you get under, you got to get your body on this guy so he doesn't slip.
So this is what it might sound like, 3D. We the three of us may know this language quite well. We'll do it without cursing. So you get the ball, ball goes over to the wing, it's caught there. Screen coming, get down, mine.
Right there,
Right here.
there it is. There it is.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's the way that they're going to have to be in this loud building with one another, connected. It's got to be that kind of communication. The last time, I want to show this one more time. If we can put our angle here with the camera right along the free throw line. This is what makes it problematic for Cleveland. It's really hard for George Hill to get below a screen at the free throw line to make this switch. So the ball goes over. He's got to stay connected with Steph enough to not bounce back. At this point, if I'm Jeff Green, if I go too soon, right? Stay up there, Case. If I go too soon, this is where Dominique is. Sean Livingston, he's in. He's making the dunk. All right? So
last thing we're going to say is we're recommending that George Hill, Jordan Clarkson, whoever it is, make sure you stay connected, but make sure you're listening to the backside. Because if you don't communicate, they will get wild.
Larry, welcome to the set. And I got to start with that. How exciting has this been as a father, forget about as a former player, to watch your son go through this?
Well, it's just unbelievable, because when you're dreaming about your kids playing, if they get a scholarship to college, that's pretty darn good. You know, and then I know how hard he worked, and he wasn't going to be drafted, they were saying, and then all of a sudden he worked hard and made an NBA team. That's crazy. And to play for the team, you know, to get traded to the team you play for and wear your jersey, I'm just living the dream, actually, because I don't even know how to explain that, because it's never been done before. So I'm a pretty special person.
No, I mean, just in terms of Larry and the team, and obviously LeBron James, and just, you know, having played here, been a part of this organization, living here in this area, just talk about the impact, what he means, and how important he's been to this franchise and in this city since he's been drafted here, and when he came back, especially, and won that championship.
Well, I know what he won here. Downtown wasn't that good. Now downtown is the place to be. And having a player like him is just unbelievable. These guys is learning from him. I know Larry watched him so long. Now Larry's playing with him, and Larry's a pretty smart player, so he's having fun trying to figure out what LeBron is thinking and trying to get to the right spots. But, you know, LeBron mean it all to this city, and he's done so much for us. And it's such a great kid off the court.
You know, Larry, I always tell you this. Do you ever feel bad that you stole Brad Daugherty from me?
How did I do that?
Well, we had the #1 pick in the draft, and y'all stole him from us. Y'all gave me Roy Henson for Brad Daugherty. I don't think that's a fair trade.
Well, I like it. We had a nice, true center, and Brad was a nice player, and he could pass too.
Yes.
And so it worked out for us really good.
You know, Larry, when I see you and I studied your game, it seems like you would be made for today's game as far as guys that can switch out, that can move laterally, you could run fast, and those type of things. Let me ask you something as a fan, though. the dunk that you did, the one when you cradled it, right? Michael Jordan did that dunk after you. Did anybody show you that dunk? Is that something you were just messing around with in the gym? Did you see someone else do it? Because I'm trying to wonder, where did that come from? Because it was such a dope dunk, and at the same time, Michael kind of made it even more popular.
Well, when Michael did it, they said it was Michael's dunk. Well, you know, anything Michael do, they're going to take it.
Right. But I used to study the game, so I know that hook, that was you. Did you get it from anywhere? That was just your...
I did not get it from anywhere. You know, I just used to love the dunk from watching Julius Erving, and so you just invent some stuff yourself to work on. But, you know, just loved it, and I used to dunk after practice all the time, and the guys are like, "Will you sit down? Your knees gonna hurt." Well, I know what they meant now because my knees are.
You know, Casey. Obviously, we played in the same era, a little younger than these young guys. But you know, people always talk about what a great player Larry was, but the people always say one of the nicest guys ever. And I can always tell people, I says, "Oh, you're right about that." Just a really people. I'm able to separate the basketball, but you've always just been a good man.
Well, thank you. That's my mom raised me that way, and you know, that's the only way to be. And you know, I had to deal with this man in low post, so it's good to be sitting right here instead
if you
of up
touched
under
him
the
like
basket.
that back then, he would have fell down.
Yeah.
We got games. We got jump now.
I'm not gonna fall for none of that stuff. You can bet that.
So tonight, let's look at the game tonight. What's the keys to the game tonight?
Well, I think we got to continue to play defense, and hopefully they don't make some of those tough, ridiculous shots they were making. And we got to make shots. I mean, we got to not rely on LeBron so much, but which that's hard to do. But we got to make wide open shots when we got them and be aggressive and get offensive rebounds.
No, I was just going to say, forgot what I was going to say.
What's that Duke education?
No,
you told me you wanted to ask.
No, I was going to ask him. Charles took my question. Those Auburn guys always taking stuff.
Let me ask you this, because we were talking about it before, and your son is in that room. The JR scenario, after what happened in Game 1, did he give you an impression of what it was like in that room afterwards, and what was your take on what happened and the idea of having a teammate do that at the end of a game?
Well, I mean, I just looked at it as a mistake he made and move on to the next thing, because we're all human and we all make mistakes. He just made it on national TV, and it was a big crucial thing. And, you know, it's just time to move on and play, because there's nothing you can do about that. So it's no sense of wallowing on it.
You know, one of the things I talked about earlier, I was very disappointed in the Cavs overall, the way they didn't support JR after the game and the days before Game 2. I thought their body language, but they didn't rally to his defense. That's bothered me from a distance. Because I was going to say, LeBron's got to say something. Ty Lue's got to say something. Because, first of all, the kid obviously feels horrible. Nobody tries to mess up. But I was very disappointed nobody in the Cavs organization kind of came to his defense.
Well, I have to agree with you there, because he could have just not tried to get the rebound. He never would have got it. We wouldn't be talking about this. So he got a rebound, and it's just always protect your teammates. Always pat them on the back and never, turn on them.
You know, Larry, we were talking before you came on about what LeBron will show up here to start the game. Will it be the aggressive looking to score LeBron James, or will it be the facilitator? What do you think, having watched him play a lot, understanding this series, what Cleveland needs, what LeBron James will come out here in the first quarter and set the tone?
I think the aggressive LeBron James getting to the hole, because we got to get to the hole to make him rotate so we can get some open shots. So I think he's going to really be aggressive, get to the hole, get a couple of three-point plays, and then they'll start trying to help some, and then that'll open up stuff for everybody else.
All right, earlier you were talking about how difficult it was to face that man when he was a little slimmer on the floor.
Did you do that, Larry?
Oh, man.
Did you do that to me, Larry? Oh my goodness.
Man.
That's cold-blooded. Where you got to find this stuff at?
Well, we got everything. Larry, trust me, that's one thing about NBA TV and Turner. If I get embarrassed, they going to find it. Larry, you dunked on me like that.
Ron Harper, was he talking to you?
It didn't look that difficult then.
Oh, that looked very. Ooh, that was impressive.
Wait, how tall? 6'10"?
6'10".
You play small forward?
Small forward, power forward, a little bit of center, but that was back then. Now I don't know what I can play now because I can't shoot threes.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, they keep showing that.
I do. Hey, listen.
Dude, we friends no matter what.
That's we always gonna be friends.
Larry, we can't thank you enough for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we can't thank you enough for bringing this highlight up either.
Thank you,
Hey,
Charles.
thank you. I really enjoyed it.
We've got more coming up. We'll continue to look ahead to both sides as we get ready for game number 3. Kevin Durant wasn't happy with his performance in game 1. More efficient in game number 2. What does he have in